I love Halo, and I really hoped the new Halo TV show would be close to the game's story, show the depth of characters' personalities, and just be a really good experience for veteran Halo fans and people that are new to the franchise. But of course, it's 2022, and writers don't want to follow source material. They want to create something new and different, and in the case of Halo, the new and different direction they've gone in isn't what fans wanted. And after the premiere episode, people are voicing how disappointed that they already are, and this show has got pretty terrible ratings online, and a lot of people are extremely disappointed that this is what we finally get. After all of these years of asking for a Halo TV show, we get bottom of the barrel content. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month, or supporting the channel via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. Now, just a few days ago, when the first critic reviews were released, I did talk about the situation, but the critic reviews were not good, and the critic scores have actually dropped since then, but now the audience scores are out, and they do not look good. I am so disappointed, and with this first episode, I cannot believe how terribly they did with this franchise. So right now, the average critic score is sitting at a 58%, and when I talked about this a few days ago, I believe it was sitting at a 61 or a 62%, but now it's at a 58%, a rotten, and the average audience score is sitting at a 67%. Now, a 67 definitely isn't the worst score that they could have gotten for this show, but I definitely think, judging just by the first episode, and it only being out for a day, that this score is going to drop. A lot of people right now have seen the first episode. They're only judging it by the first episode. So once the whole series is out, I definitely think we're going to see a shift by people. But this isn't a good score either. Even though it's not terrible, it's also not perfect. Now, before we read some of the user reviews, I wanted to show off this article because the title says it all for me. It says, Halo joins the ranks of failed video game adaptations. The new Paramount Plus series underestimates gamer audiences and falls into the content delivery trap, losing the excitement of gameplay along the way. Now, spoiler alert, there's only one episode of the show out, but I still wanted to talk about people's first reactions and also my first reactions because I am a Halo lover. I've played all of the games many times. I know all of the lore. I love Halo. And as someone who is excited for this series, after seeing only one episode, I already can tell where they're taking this series, what they're going to do, the massive changes they're already making, and the ways that they haven't followed the source material, and I'm so disappointed. Cortana, for those in the know, the references come thick and fast in the new Halo series. Paramount shelled out $10 million an episode to adapt Bungie's first-person shooter for the screen, and with every knowing wink, the message gets louder, the show is for the fans, which I actually completely disagree with. The first episode closes with the iconic Gregorian chant of the original soundtrack, which, the internet has noted, was not present in the original trailer. We wait with bated breath for the Master Chief to teabag a dead elite. Halo finds itself atop an unenviable heap. The carcasses of failed video game adaptations. No game has ever been turned into a compelling movie or TV show, and this one, which drops on Thursday, is no different. And I actually disagree with this, because even though The Witcher was based on a book, the games were still very important to the making of the series, and The Witcher was very good in my opinion. It talks about the general story, and it also talks about how usually these adaptations are meant to serve fans, to expand on the lore, to retell the stories that captivated people through the video games, and I do agree that that's what these shows should do. Unfortunately, Halo doesn't do that at all. Now, I think some of it truly is not terrible. Like, some of the action isn't awful, and some of the zoomed out CGI shots, like of Reach, are okay, but it's like the whole budget went into Master Chief and the Elites because the rest of the show just looks bad. The outfits look bad, the sets look bad, and you can definitely see where they made up their own story, like how the leader of the Covenant is a human female. That makes no sense at all. Maybe if they had kept her as like an experiment and they kind of liked her a little bit, okay, but for her to be the blessed one and for them to basically worship her, there is absolutely no way. The Covenant hated humans, and this is a core element to the story that can't get better. And this whole story in episode 1 revolves around this new female character that, in my opinion, is just super boring. Overall, I was extremely underwhelmed and disappointed with this episode. They tried too hard to make it feel like a video game with the user UI and some of the action shots when they needed to just make it feel like sci-fi with Halo's general story, and they failed to do that. Paramount shelled out $10 million an episode, and we got trash. Now, I wanted to read a couple of the user reviews, and again, I think that this score is definitely going to continue to go down as the show progresses, but there are a lot of 1 stars here. Somebody said, after 20 years of playing Halo, you know this does not represent the franchise. Even as a non-canon story, you should maintain the essence of the characters, not work a single buck. Fortunately, I'll cancel the free trial ASAP. Just another Hollywood adaptation of the modern age. Thanks for this Star Wars, Star Trek, Halo effect show that shows Spartans but is generic sci-fi property with no Halo details. Hey, Hollywood, stop wasting properties that have been built up by people that care. There are quite a few 4 stars here and 3 stars here saying, the first episode was great, the first scene was awesome, this is definitely going to be a great show. I'm just not convinced that these people ever really cared about Halo, though, and ever really cared about what this show could have been. The visuals are okay, but the acting is horrendous. The cast is very poor. Putting together the cutscenes from various Halo games would create a more moving story, and I agree. I feel like there's a lot that they could have done that they just didn't do. The next one says 4 stars, early yet, but first episode is very promising. Looking forward to the rest, and I'm glad there are a few people out there who did enjoy this first episode and think it seems really promising. This is the show for you then, but it's not the show for people like me who are die-hard Halo fans. As the show progresses, I'll definitely be covering it more in live streams and maybe even videos, but right now, as a Halo fan, I'm not very impressed with what they've given us. I hope that it gets better, truly and genuinely, but I just think they've changed so much about the source material and the characters. There's not a lot to save here. But that's all that I had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.